All right, I'm John Bria, the publisher of Kitesurfing and Wingsurfing magazine, and I am here with, is it Jeff or Jeffrey?
Jeffrey Spencer, yeah.
Jeffrey Spencer, who was very involved in the R&D process for all of the Duotone wings, and he's going to walk us through the lineup, and then I'm going to ask lots of questions about the R&D process. And
yeah,
we'll take a look at some boards as well, and the new Downwind board which you worked on. So yeah, let's start out with the wings first, and I'll jump over here, and yeah, so tell us about what's fresh and hot and coming out.
This is the brand new unit 2024. This is the Alula one, which is the lightweight, high performance material. It is my favorite wing so far that's come out. The big difference between this wing from the last year is we've added this extra long front handle, which makes it much easier to balance on the center point when you're getting up, when you're adjusting, anything like that. And my favorite feature about this wing is the angled center strut, which allows you to have your back arm a little further away when you're fully sheeted in, which is a bit more comfortable and doesn't make your arm as sore as it would be if you had to hold it tight the entire time riding.
Cool. Yeah, it's almost twice the length, isn't it?
Yeah. It's super nice just for adjustability, and in terms of when you're just reaching to grab in any situation, it helps quite a bit. This is the normal unit. All the same features as the Alula, but with the normal canopy, with the normal materials. Yeah. And the other wing is the 2023 Slick, which is over here, just under this one. This Slick has a bit more power than last year's, and all the similar updated features that the new wings have.
Yeah, let's maybe backtrack here a little bit.
Absolutely.
What would be the biggest difference in performance on the water between the two wings?
Yeah, the Dacron wing alone already works extremely well and has great power, good maneuverability and everything. But when you get on that Alula, it's just that extra little lightweight, so you get slightly more maneuverability. It's a little more responsive. So yeah, those are the main differences. Yeah.
Are the shapes identical, or is there a
yes.
slight difference for the?
The shapes are identical between the two wings.
Okay, cool. So what would be your go-to sizes that you ride when you're on Maui most of the time?
Yeah, most of the time, if it's light wind, maybe I'll get up into that 6.5, but to be honest, it's not very often that we have light enough wind for that. So I'm often riding the 3 or the 3.5. Yeah, and these new units are my favorite for especially like just all around riding.
Yeah, so you worked quite a bit on the downwind boards. Has that changed the size of the wing that you're using for light wind riding?
Yeah, it definitely helps, because on those lighter days, or if we're going to test something early, I'm able to get going much easier on a smaller wing. Just with that extra speed on the surface of the water at the start, it really increases your range of the sizes you can ride. So I can get away with, if it's super light, riding 8s in wind that shouldn't even be winged in, and then even if it's a bit stronger, I can still ride the tiny sizes, but the board helps me get going if it's still a bit gusty or there's holes in it.
Yeah, let's maybe take a close look at this, and maybe I'll get you to pull it up and
absolutely.
fly it a little bit. So you guys have a one-pump inflation system. Are there ever days where you want to have a different pressure in your strut compared to the leading edge, or is it pretty much the same?
No, I would never consider that. The one pump makes it's just so easy, especially the system for filling it and releasing it with the from one spot. It makes it really easy, and they do have the nice dump valve on the center strut too, which makes it much easier to roll up. And especially these Alula ones, the material is nice and stiff, so when you roll it up, it really holds its shape and doesn't unravel on you, which is nice.
Yeah, this inflation system from our gear testing has always been one of our favorites, because you get a really true reading on the pressure gauge on the pump when you use it.
Yeah, that is the nicest part for me as well. Like, you don't have to just eye the number as you're going down. It just shows you the reading the entire time, which makes it really easy to get an accurate thing, and it's super reliable too.
Yeah. So when you're riding, let's maybe flip it over and you can get it up over your head. There's a little bit of wind here.
Yeah, a lot of work, especially on these wings, goes into canopy tension and how they fill out once you're powered. It's a big thing. Like, once you get on the water, you don't want the wing to be changing the shape too much when you're in a lull or when you're a gust. I think Ken Winter, who's the designer of these wings, just talked about that in the meeting we had with all the dealers. But yeah, it's super important. A lot of focus goes into making sure the wings are stable in light winds and still pull you along, and then when you hit gusts that they aren't out of control, don't change their shape too much, so they maintain a nice pull and nice control.
Yeah. What sort of things did you see evolution-wise? Like, you had a chance to ride a lot of different prototypes.
Totally.
What sort of things were you guys?
A lot of it, really getting the angle of the center strut correct was a big one as well, and then also, especially with Ken, he's super into the details of how everything comes out. So to him, it's super important. Yeah, just all the small measurements, to make sure everything comes out as well as possible.
Yeah. So these have like little battens on the trailing edge, just one on each side. Did you guys try prototypes without battens and with battens, or?
I think at this point the battens are pretty reliable and pretty desirable in most of the wings. They just help keep that shape in terms of like when you're powered up versus depowered. They keep it stiff.
Yeah. Do you use the same PSI on the kite through all different wind conditions? Like, if you're riding in super light winds, do you do it a little bit softer, or do you still keep it pretty stiff?
You know what, the nice thing about these is I usually do keep them. I usually go to the recommended setting, and to me, I'm feeling like, oh, I wish it was a little softer in this. I think some people just in winging in general, like, you can go a little softer if it's strong, so you're not feeling as much power, but I think these handle it pretty well, so I usually keep it at the recommended.
Yeah. Cool. All right, let's maybe go take a peek at some of the boards.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you ride, do you ride primarily with a wrist leash, or do you ever use a waist leash?
I do primarily ride with the wrist leash, mostly just because when I'm getting around in the waves, the waist leash is nice for kind of light windage riding, but if I end up in waves, I just like to know where the leash is on me so I don't get tangled up.
Never riding here before.
So yeah, over here is some of the wing range. I think quite a few of the boards are actually down on the water with people testing them, but you can see we have the Sky Surf, which is on the ground over there. The next range up is the Sky Free, which is kind of the 45 liter to 85 range. And then there's, that's the Sky Style, which is the 45 to 85 range. And then there's the Sky Free, which is the 95 and above range. But yeah, this one's the 105 here. The goal with especially like this model is just to make it really easy to ride. A big thing with all the boards is just making sure they work well for like every type of rider. So finding the balance between, high performance and still easy to use for everything like that.
Yeah. And you were very involved with the Downwind board. I see you hiding back there.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a new one with the range this year. Downwinding, as we've seen, has become super popular, especially SUP downwinding, and we put a lot of work into this board just to make sure it was like as efficient as possible to get out of the water. That's the main goal with it. We really made it, we tried to make it like stable as well, so it's easy for people to get on and easy for them to give it everything they've got without having to worry about being too, unbalanced or anything like that. And yeah, this is the result. It works extremely well for downwinding. I absolutely love it. But a surprising thing too is it crushes, especially for light wind winging and everything like that. When I do light wind wing testing, I'm almost always riding this board, just because it's so easy to get out of the water, and it really kind of eliminates those days where you're just sitting waiting for a gust. It makes it too easy to get going. It's kind of addicting.
Yeah. So what size volume-wise do you ride?
I ride, so there's a 6'4", a 6'10", a 7'2", and a 7'8". And the 6'4" is the smallest, which is 85 liters, so I usually ride that one.
Yeah, you look like a pretty light guy.
Yeah.
Whereas a guy like me would sink it.
Probably. I only weigh 155 pounds, so it's definitely on the lower end, and I can kind of get away with that.
Yeah.
But when for winging too, that shorter size is nice, but when it comes to just even lighter wind, or maybe you're a bit larger, a bit stronger, you can handle all the way up to the 7'8".
Yeah. So what size foil would you be using on your, like if you went light wind winging?
It's funny. So if it's really light, I'll ride the Glide series. They're really good. They have the best low end out of the range and really work well just pumping up if you have to kind of make it happen.
Yeah.
So I'll ride from the 905, usually is the one I go for. Sometimes I go into the bigger sizes, but usually I'm able to get that one going just because the initial water speed of the downwinders helps so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. When you guys are doing your testing, so you do a lot of testing with Ken Winter.
absolutely. Yeah.
Are you guys on, if you're testing the wings, are you on identical board setups, or do you ride totally different board setups based on your size?
We do both. Like sometimes if you're really trying to get your best performance, you'll ride, your favorite setup for the conditions and it'll change. And then a lot of times if we're testing, specific things versus one another, we'll make sure we have the same setup to really compare.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are there some foil set up here we can take a quick peek
Yeah,
at?
sure. That'd be great. Again, quite a few of them are probably out being tested at the moment, but one of the new ones we have in the range is the D-Lab Carves 2.0, which is the new one-piece connection between the front of the fuselage and the front wing. Otherwise, we have the 3BS aluminum system. Actually, this is the 2-bolt for the aluminum mast. The other fuselage is this one. And the nice thing even about that new D-Lab and these fuselages as well is they're all compatible with the older system of masts that Fanatic had, all the carbon ones, Fanatic and Duotone had, as well as the new ones like this blown here. And also there is a D-Lab mast as well that has a bit better profile, which is really nice. But yeah, this is the aero-free. This is the good balance between the carve and the glide. Just like a little, a little bit in between, which is really nice. These are the glides as I was talking about. This one's the 1305. This one, if it's like super, super light wind, this is what I'll take. There's also one size up that's good for winging as well. But yeah, this one, like, they're just machines when it comes to the low end, which is really nice. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all the foils we have around. That guy's the massive 2145, mostly focused for pumping. It's a bit hard to control winging with all that surface area out on the sides, but it absolutely crushes when you're just trying to cruise and keep it going,
Yeah, so do you find the downwind board, even though it's pretty narrow, that it's as stable feeling once you've got the foil underneath it?
Yeah, that's the huge thing, is because when it comes to sup racing, you have to be very careful not to go too narrow, because if you're so unstable, you're going to be wasting energy rocking back and forth as opposed to just going. But when it comes to like the foil boards, when you get that foil underneath, it adds a ton of stability and really it's a huge fin under there, so it lets you focus on just driving your speed straight, keeping it going.
Yeah, Maui gets some pretty choppy conditions. So what would the stability of that downwind board feel like in comparison to like a more traditional board, like size-wise?
Yeah, it's the nicest thing is because they're longer, you don't have to worry about that forward to back stability like you do with a shorter, like traditional wingboard. So when, especially like supping or getting on that, it really just runs forward and you're just focused on side to side pressure. Yeah. So even though they are more tippy side to side, it feels like it's less balancing work overall because you're not worried about sinking the nose at the tail nearly as much. Compared to other ones.
Cool. I'm looking forward to trying those out.
Yeah,
it'd be really cool. Is there anything else we should take a look at?
I believe that's pretty much everything when it comes to the wing and foil range.
All right, cool. We'll have people go to the website to.
Absolutely. There's probably, if you want to see all the details, see all the numbers, see all the products. That is Duotone foil and Duotone wing are the places to go.
All right, cool. Maybe let's talk about Maui a little bit. What it's like as an actual winging community, because it's. The Gorge and Maui seem to be the two spots where, during COVID, it completely took off.
Oh yeah, winging absolutely exploded in Maui. There's so many easy spots to go out from, and there's so many every single type of winging or foiling you want to do is available. Whether it's just riding or it's kind of like a race style back and forth, or riding the waves or downwinding. It's all there. So
So when you guys are testing, do you have a secret spot that you go to, or do you just go to the main spots?
Yeah, we try and do a bunch of few spots. I mean, there's some places where we go where there's less people, but a lot of the time we'll go to Kahului Harbor, Camp 1 as well to get out there and
Yeah. What's your favorite spot to ride?
I really love riding. Kanaha is always super fun, and also there's some ways around Sprex that are also really fun as well to ride. Yeah.
When you're at Sprex, do you have to ride a short mast because of how short the high the floor is?
That's a big thing. Especially compared to here in the river, where you can, as soon as you're kind of off the shore, you're really not worried about hitting the bottom at all. when you're in the waves in Maui over the reefs, the shorter mast helps quite a bit if it's low tide and you're really trying to get into the zone on the waves.
Yeah. So what would be your go-to mast?
I ride the 75 a lot of the time. If I'm doing freestyle winging, I'll try and ride the 82. But if it's surfing and it's shallow, I'll get on that 75, and it helps quite a bit.
Yeah. Do you find that the 75 compared to the 85, do you think the shorter mast pump up a little bit easier? Or?
For sure. You just, with the little shorter mast, you have slightly less drag when you're first getting going, so it definitely helps in that initial takeoff. That's why I've been using the 75 for downwind foiling as well, like sup foiling. Just because once you get on that bump and get that initial pump up, it's a little less drag, so it gets going easier.
Yeah. So the 85, its main advantage would be just the control in really choppy conditions.
Yeah, it's not as easy for that foil to come out of the water on the 85, and it gives you a much better range of height, when you're going, especially like for freestyle winging, if you're trying to like load up for a jump or something, or if you're sending really hard turns, it gives you that extra room.
Yeah, nice, cool. So how did you get hooked up with Duotone and doing R&D work for them?
Oh, we've seen the guys testing on Maui and met them through events and stuff, and just everything. And since it was a really great opportunity for us to be able to work with them, since they're based on Maui and that's also where we live, it makes it super easy to work together and test everything and get things done.
Yeah, super cool. Well, Jeffrey, it's great to meet you, and thanks for walking us through the lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.